I wanted to circle back around to the Hyundai Palisade because I
Sure.
don't think I really covered it with enough thoroughness as far as how new it is. Uh, for instance, I didn't talk about the fact that the old 3.5 V6 does return with the 8-speed automatic, but there's also a brand new, and when I say brand new, I don't mean, well, we've had this in 4 other vehicles, a brand new 2.5 turbo 4-cylinder hybrid. Now, the 2.5 turbo has been around in a few other Hyundai and Kia vehicles, but this is the very first time that Hyundai is using a hybrid version. Yeah, so not only is it 329 horsepower, but it's 339 pound-feet of torque. Now, it's only paired with a 6-speed automatic, but a turbocharged hybrid is going to have a much wider torque band, and it's not going to need as many gears, especially not for fuel mileage, since it's a hybrid.
No, and that's a great point to bring out with them because, they may say, oh, it looks pretty, it looks all new, but this is a variant that hasn't been available in, the Palisade. And it shows their commitment to the ever-changing EV hybrid availability in the marketplace. So do you know, just for curiosity, if there's plans for an all-electric version of the new Palisade, or is that pretty much on hold to the best of your knowledge?
Oh, well, that's a different vehicle. Hyundai has a different platform and a different approach for its electric vehicles. Uh, some of the automakers make electric versions of their vehicles. Some of the automakers make completely separate versions. Hyundai's in that former camp. So
Okay.
they have the Kia EV9. That's the all
Yeah.
electric platform.
Yeah, and I know they
And
have the Hyundai Ioniq, and then they
yeah,
have, but those are more
exactly. The
passenger.
Hyundai yep,
Yeah. Yeah, I was just curious if there was any plans that you knew in the research, because some of the manufacturers they're offering ICE, hybrid, EV of the same vehicle. Okay. And I
yep,
looked to Chevrolet Equinox, where you've got an EV version of that, and then you had a gas version of it as well. So to the best of your knowledge, other than the EVs you referenced before, the Hyundai Ioniq, and to that point, the
yep,
Kia EV9, that's pretty much where their focus is
yep.
going to continue for the foreseeable future.
Yeah, the Hyundai Ioniq 9 is it is not the electric version of the Palisade, but it is the vehicle in that segment that runs on electricity for Hyundai. So
Gotcha.
it's uh, and even the Blazer and the Equinox actually don't stand in that prior camp of being electric versions of gas vehicles,
Hmm.
because those are on a different platform. And if you look at for instance, let's see, I'm going to bring it up real quick. Just the Blazer, for instance, or the Equinox. So the Equinox, the gas version, has a 107.5-inch wheelbase. The Equinox EV, get this, the Equinox EV has a 116.3-inch wheelbase.
Hmm.
That is not a gas version. I mean, that is not an electric version of the gas Equinox.
So what you're saying, that's on a totally different platform. It looks
Completely.
similar, but it's a totally different vehicle.
Yep. It's
Gotcha.
it looks somewhat similar, and they what they're doing is, I think General Motors had previous bad experiences by launching a completely separate EV, the Bolt. And this way, what they're doing is similar to what Ford did with the Mustang Mach-E, is they're leveraging a prior, good selling, well-known platform, brand, vehicle, badge,
Hmm.
whatever you want to call it, so that they can spin the electric off of that vehicle directly, and so they can kind of compare them and contrast them. But yeah, the Equinox EV is very different. I mean, it's the overall length is 7 inches longer. I don't even want to tell you what the curb weight difference is because it might that might scare people a little bit.
Yeah.
But yeah, 3,400 pounds for the Equinox, 4,900 pounds for the Equinox EV.
Actually, I figured it might be a little bit bigger than that. So no, I appreciate you sharing the distinction between those two vehicles. And like you said, anytime you got to completely redo, refresh, it's big news in the industry. And a lot of our Hyundai dealers, I'm sure, are excited, for this new version of the Palisade. It should compete very, very favorably. And for you to be getting over 300 plus horsepower out of a 2.5 liter turbo engine. That's strong. I mean, you think back in the 70s, when they put all of those catalytic converters and the restrictions. I think the Corvette with a 350 V8 under the hood got 170 horsepower because they had that thing, detuned so low, but he got a turbo four-cylinder cranking out twice the horsepower of a normally aspirated V8 in a traditional sports car that you think, should have been able to smoke this, but it's just not the case with the technology we have today, right?
Oh yeah. Actually, the Corvette I think sunk all the way down to 150 horsepower at one point.
Yeah. Yeah. It was those are things and those are days we look to forget. But anyway, the technology that just keeps evolving year after year with the vehicles. And, a lot of these things were in production long before any of these cafe mandates, had been altered. And, so they were still streaming on the standards that were set, to begin in 2030 and then those further on in 2035. So, typically when the fuel economy gets, requirements get higher, the weight of the vehicles gets lower. That's not what happens with EVs, obviously, but the ICE burners that typically it is. But what else is new for the 2026 besides this new powertrain in the hybrid?
Right. Well, the Palisade gets a jump on the Telluride, and it offers the new looks that first we saw on the Santa Fe. That boxy look
Oh yeah,
that
I
makes it
love the way
look
it looks.
bigger.
Yep.
Yeah, it looks real tough. It looks kind of futuristic, but
Hmm.
boxy at the same time.
Yeah.
Uh, but of course, you know, don't worry. The coefficient of drag actually came down from 0.33 to 0.31, so it slips through the wind easier, even though it's got that boxy look. It's
Hmm.
got these very, very cool horizontal stripe daytime running lights.
Hmm.
I mean, everyone knows what a Genesis looks like. It's got those two narrow stripes on the headlights and the taillights. Well, the new Palisade has a very distinctive set of drive running lights or
Hmm.
marker lights or whatever you want to call it. It's got five broad stripes coming all the way up and down the very tall, large grill. And
I
then
think
yeah,
I feel like they were able to achieve a futuristic aesthetic that Tesla has been trying to, but to me, Teslas look very boring a bit. I mean, the best example would be the Tesla truck. I think a lot of people do not like the way that it looks. They think it looks a bit, I don't know, brutish. Maybe a good word would be brutalist in a way. Like
Angular.
yes, yeah, yeah.
yep.
And I think you
I
get
think
that
it looked
that cool angular futurism from the Santa Fe and now the Palisade, but they look friendlier.
Yeah.
They look, I don't know.
yep. I think the Cybertruck probably looked a lot better on paper, but
Mm,
when you take absolutely flat panels and absolutely, sharp creases in real life, that's going to show, first of all, it's going to show every single tiny little flaw. I mean, you get a pebble mark on that and it's going to show up like a beacon. And secondly, it just it doesn't look as modern and sophisticated in real life on real metal as it does, on a pad of paper. And you're
Yeah,
right,
the
because
one
by softening some of the lines on the new Palisade, they get a much better aesthetic.
Yeah, the one thing that I think about with the Cybertruck is there's no sculpting to the truck. It's all angles, as I said. and it's folds. Okay, it's like somebody took a sheet of paper and just folded it on a crease and said, "Here's a truck." Okay. Within you and I were around when the new Dodge truck in 1994 made its debut. It was
Ooh,
sculpted. It was different. And
bold.
it had a very bold look. And I think even some of the original drawings that, were passed around about the Cybertruck look completely different than what the finished product, came out when it debuted.
Yep.
From a technology standpoint, a lot going on with it, but it's just same thing with the old Dodge. It was either you thought it was beautiful or you thought it was hideous, and there's not a whole lot of middle ground on that truck. Um, the to your point, everybody's got that unique look, and you mentioned the difference between the Genesis and the Hyundai brand. The same thing with Kia. They've done an incredible job, especially in the last 10 years. Just building a product that's reasonably affordable. Um, and they took the lessons the Japanese, had learned competing in an American market, in the 70s and 80s, and built a product for the consumers here. And what I look at with Hyundai is, any Hyundai or Genesis or Kia that's sold, that's a Toyota, Honda, Nissan that didn't get sold. And when you see a
Or
Genesis
Chevrolet or
on,
Ford. Yeah.
well, I'm just talking about specific against the Japanese market. And what did they do? They were one of the first ones. I say one of the first. They came and invested heavily in building plants in the United States. The huge plant that they have just outside of Montgomery builds most of the Hyundais, and then the other one going up to the Atlanta metro area, where they have the Kia plant. And so, they're domestically built. And you talk about timely, especially with these tariffs that are just starting to hit. So they're built here in the States. And, so you've got an all-new vehicle, high performance capability, in most cases, tariff-free. I mean, they're really hitting on all eight cylinders, or in this case, four-cylinder turbos, right?
Yeah.
Do you think the aesthetic of the Cybertruck that people disagree with is more so the shape and like the way that it is folded and the angularness, or do you think that the lack of paint, like what do you think about the matte metal look that they have on there?
I'll take that
I,
first. I mean, I think the matte finishing is something that's very trendy right now. You see that on a lot of high-end
Mhm.
sports sedans. I can't tell you how many RS8s I see that are in a matte finish.
Hmm.
But you have to almost also go back to the 70s with the original DeLorean.
Yeah,
The
yeah.
DeLorean was
yep.
a all aluminum body brushed. The
Stainless steel.
stainless steel. Thank you, stainless steel, and it if you saw one with paint, it stuck out like a sore thumb. But the bottom line is that the reason that they did that was it was different, and
Hmm.
if it had a little problem, you just took a Brillo pad and scuffed it up a little bit, and you would take care of it. But it was a corrosion issue for sure. But it's just I think it's a homage to that, and because it's different and it's not it's certain. I mean, when you see a Cybertruck, I mean it you stop and you whip your head around and say, wait, what
You
did I
see it.
just see? It's
Oh
it,
yeah, yeah. It
you
reminds
know.
me of like this vehicle from a video game I used to play as a kid, a super futuristic sci-fi game. It looks,
Yeah.
I don't know, it's like the metal body, etc. Thanks for watching. If you liked the video, hit the like button, subscribe for more, and drop a comment below. We'd love to hear from you and it really helps out.